Aloha, you. I've got a filter on today because I wanted a bit of a glow. Right. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about today. The first one is what to do if you're feeling fear. Some very grounded, helpful tips if you're feeling fear and uncertainty and all of those kind of things. And the second one is just a call to humanity, to your hearts. And then basically, from that call to humanity, call to our hearts, just some ideas, some thoughts, and also some observations of what's happening in kind of the light worker healer community that I've noticed, which hopefully by bringing it out into the open, there will be more awareness and then a surrender back into oneness rather than separation. So, first of all, what to do if you're feeling fear. Now, I'm an ex-TV producer. I spent 10 years in TV and I was really, really lucky. I work with some incredible people, very inspiring, very grounded, and people who didn't put up with media bollocks, basically. Okay? Now, I left that job. I left the TV industry about 20 years ago. And as soon as I did, I chucked out my TV. A really basic, embarrassing reason. One of them was that I think it was Desperate Housewives that was on. And I found myself organizing my schedule around them, and not wanting to miss them. And it was man, I don't want to be addicted to this CRAP. And also I was getting into healing and, I was studying to become a shiatsu practitioner and I was visiting crop circles and, my world was changing. My life was opening up and I was reading a lot. So I didn't want to be wasting my time on nonsense. A few years after, this is not all about me, don't worry. I just want to kind of set a little foundation. A few years after that, I went out with a really fabulous man. We were both becoming practitioners. So we actually had a lot of our stuff to deal with. We went to therapy. Both of us, we had both come from very religious backgrounds. It was weird. Totally different, but very religious backgrounds. So we were both as mucked up as each other, to be honest. But it was the first time for both of us that we had ever really felt our emotions. I used to be Mrs. Positive, Mary Gerri, and I would just, shy away from sadness, grief, anger, any of those things. I think I did anger back then, but I didn't. Because underneath anger, there's always sadness, I was quite comfortable sometimes doing the old anger thing, but not anything more vulnerable, underneath that. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because one of the things this lovely guy taught me, because he was studying NLP and he introduced me to fabulous people like Milton Erickson, who even at the age of in his 80s, his clients would come to him. They'd sit in the armchair. He would tell them a story. These were people that no one else could help. They were deeply traumatized, abuse in childhood and all sorts. And no one else could help them. He would sit them in an armchair. He'd be in an armchair, a relaxed life, 82 years old, loving it. Obviously still loved his work. Tells them a story, right? Now their conscious mind is going, what's this old geezer on about? This doesn't make sense. The next day, without fail, they're healed from deep trauma, from things that no one else could help them with. Anyway, a few digressions today, but there you go. I haven't given myself a limit on today's Facebook Live. So, what I wanted to share with you is because one of the things this lovely guy taught me, because he was studying NLP and, he was introduced me to fabulous people like Milton Erickson, who even at the age of Anyway, my partner at the time was studying all of this magic, and he would always say to me, if I did something silly, I go, "Oh, I'm so stupid," and he'd go, "Don't say that. Don't say that. Your subconscious is listening." I was like, all right. I was still a bit cynical about all that stuff, But the other thing that he taught me was to stop listening to the news. And I did that. Like at first I remember going, but what will I talk about? Anyway, I started to do it. And within a few years, I was able to listen to the news or watch the news with an awareness, without it affecting me, but also knowing what was truth. And it's rare that there's truth on the news. But also, I was able to know what resonated on the news, what was true. And I was going to say what was love motivated, but to be honest, is 100% of the news flipping fear motivated? You tell me. Now, I've got no idea what don't know what to, I'm not a fan of labeling, and definitely not about separation, but I don't know what people are being subjected to in the media nowadays. What I do know is that it's all fear. What I do know is that much of it is lies. What I do know is that it's putting people into reaction mode and fear. And I'm sorry to say it, people are being brainwashed. We've been in a psychological warfare for over a year. And there's been a build-up as well. Why do they not report good news? Yeah, it's a rhetorical question. And I know a lot of the answers. I know that many of us, even when they put out papers that were, positive, people weren't interested. But anyway, another Gerri digression. I'm a little worried, okay? Now, there's a huge separation going on at the moment. And that's another way that we are successfully controlled, okay? Now, I'm also seeing it, unfortunately, in the light worker community. And I'm also guilty of that because being an empath and a sensitive, I'm very, very, very choosy about who I spend time with and what information I take in. I think I'm causing offense to some people at the moment because, when they love to share all the negative stuff, I've said, right now, I'm not taking that in. I'm not having contact with you, I'm not saying that's the wisest way to go on, but if you're an empath, if you're a sensitive, you're going to know that it's not just texts and information you're receiving, it's the energy behind them, that unfortunately the sender is not processing. And that is a blessing to be aware of, because true freedom, true sovereignty is being aware of what you're feeling, taking 100% responsibility for it, and then feel it to heal it. Because those trapped emotions, they turn into long-term illness, and also they cause us to react if we're in a situation that actually doesn't warrant such a big reaction. And this is one of the things that I love helping my clients with. You know, I give them the tools and they use them. I call it feel it to heal it, so that they're not, so that they're just healthily feeling, being aware of, and clearing those emotions. So I believe that this is actually a gift. Okay, this time is a gift. It's like we're on the runway and we're about to take off into the new earth. The new earth is here. It's on a different vibration. Sometimes we're in it. I've been in there for a few days, luckily. I've started taking my cacao bliss balls in the morning, which just opens my heart and allows me to live in my version of heaven on earth. Yeah, I had my moments. I had moments last week, you know, and I really had to focus on that whole feel it to heal it thing. I had a childhood trauma, you know, activated. So these are not easy times. You know, the Schumann resonance is going crazy. The Schumann resonance, well, you can look it up, but yeah, we've got solar flares. We've got a lot more light coming to the planet, and what happens then is that when the light comes into our bodies and it hits our shadow or our darkness, so that could be negative emotions or things we're unconscious of that we're holding on to, they will come up. That's how it works, you know. So what's happening right now is that this trauma is coming up for a lot of people. You know, unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot pointing the finger at others and blaming others, and it's never about them. It's you. It's your responsibility. You know, you're creating your reality. But what opportunity we're being given now is actually the opportunity to deal with our own stuff. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. Awareness, and just allow yourself to gently feel those emotions. Now, I know if you don't know how, it's easier said than done. So that's why I'm running a free training on Friday, and I'm going to be sharing some incredibly powerful processes. One that is so powerful and so amazing that I'm adding into my offerings is this amazing cherry on the cake. It's actually something I'm just learning now, but already having incredible results with. This is super conscious meets quantum physics meets miracles. Now, there's a couple of timelines ahead, you know, and one timeline is where we could potentially continue to be controlled. But no one can control you if you're in your freedom and if you are able to be aware of your emotions and feel them, okay? So we've really got nothing to fear, but, you know, we do need to take action. And I don't know, I've got to be vulnerable. I don't know what that is, you know? You know, some people are marching. I think there's things happening on Parliament Square. I don't know what the right action is. And to be quite honest, being an introvert, an extroverted introvert, but an introvert, I'm like, the thought of going out marching for me makes me like, ugh. So here's my question to you, you know. What do you feel is in alignment? What do you feel are the right next steps to take? You know, governments all over the world are just doing crazy stuff. We've got a 1984 path potentially opening up ahead of us. Now, that will not happen, but, you know, this is our turning point, guys and gals. This is a time where we need to take whatever action is true to create this new earth. And one thing I do know is that we're birthing it from within us. And it's not just men, it's not just women, you know. We've all got a male and a female energy. But we're birthing the new earth within us. But we can't do that if we're in fear, if we're being controlled, and if we're being manipulated, which is happening. I don't usually put these kind of videos out, but strongly guided to. I couldn't not do that today. So a few steps, a few tips if you are in fear. First of all, limit or cut out all mainstream media and other negative news, right? Secondly, take a nice deep juicy breath. I've written a gazillion articles on this, but basically it will slow down the heart, which in turn slows down your mind. It relaxes you, it helps your digestion, it's just got a gazillion benefits. It also connects you with your spirit, it aligns you. That's the second thing. The third thing is actually just to stay focused on what you would love. Everything starts as a thought. Everything starts in the imagination. You know, think of anything that you have that you love. Think of any dream. It started as a thought. That's your imagination. So that's the third step. So delete negative media, negative news from your life unless you're ready for it. Sometimes, you know, you can allow a window when it's like it won't affect you, or you can kind of decipher the truth and what resonates. But remember, you know, 100% of it I'm thinking is negative and manipulative at the moment. That's the first thing. Second thing, take a deep breath. Third thing, focus on what you would love. And let me know, you know, what do you feel? I mean, I am very, very confident that we're birthing the new earth from within us. That's why I think it's so important for us all to feel it, to heal it, and be in our power and be in our own sovereignty and freedom. But, you know, what do you think the steps are that we need to take to stop this tyranny? You know, it's crazy. Like the amount of censorship going on, groups getting deleted. There's not free speech anymore, you know. So that's my little message for humanity today. But I'm curious to know, you know, as I said, I'm not a marcher. I just don't. I'm not a fan of that. I haven't been called to do that. What are the next steps? You know, what are those next steps? That's what I'm curious about. Anyway, my beauties, I love you so much. Hello, you. Thank you for watching, and, you know, share this. Share the love. And what I know, I don't know a lot, but what I know is that the majority wants a world of peace, joy, abundance. So when all of us are focused on that, that is what we create. We are the majority, remember that. And these things do have to get pretty horrible for change to happen, unfortunately. You know, I was thinking about Pele, the goddess of volcanoes in Hawaii. You know, what happens with a volcano? It like builds and builds and builds, and then there's an eruption, and the lava flows through villages, through houses, decimating land and houses. And then what happens? And then New Earth is born. You know, it was one of the most incredible sights I've ever seen. I was out in a boat while the lava was falling from the cliff in Hawaii. And literally before my eyes, oh, I feel so emotional. Before my eyes, New Earth was being born. You know, Hawaii is where Lemuria was. Now, we've been given a third chance. Lemuria, Atlantis, now. Beautiful Mother Earth, planet Earth. We've been given another chance to birth the new Earth and stay on the high vibe, while being okay with negative stuff, but allowing ourselves to stay on that high vibe, and dream from there, create from there, but also take action from there. That's why it's so important to take those steps to limit the amount of negativity coming in to you, beautiful, sensitive soul. Breathe, because all of those beautiful benefits that you get from slow, deep, conscious breathing. And finally, what would you love? We are creating with our focus, our thoughts, our definitions, our beliefs. What would you love? Answer that in the positives. All right, aloha. See you next time. Thank you for watching, and I love you so much. Bye, beauties.